I despise the term work-life balance. And the reason is I don't think it's attainable because it's not definable. Balance sounds horrible. It sounds stagnant. And tomorrow my balance is different than what I needed today. Growth involves becoming unbalanced. I just hate the term. I think the problem with the term is if you're trying to attain work-life balance and you can't even define it, then it becomes unattainable. And if your happiness is based upon attaining it, you're never going to be happy. I wish I could go back in time and fix all the times that I dug my heels in and said, my practice, my decision. Because it's not just my practice, it's their practice. And if they're not feeling that every day, they're not going to be best for the clients and the patients.
I was running myself ragged and I was running people away because I expected everyone to think, act, and be the same as me. And I call it the come to Jesus talk. My wife and my practice manager, my wife's a full-time vet, and they both sat me down and they said, what you are expecting out of these people that are barely, not even making living wage is ridiculous. And that was such an eye-opening experience. And I still remember that talk to this day. It was back in 2006. I had owned the practice for 2 years and it changed me. Boom, just like that. Yeah, that was the one that I will never forget.
I recognized, me sitting at this desk in my house is as important or more than me spending a day out generating revenue. Once that happened, everything flips and changes at that point.
Veterinary medicine is often called the greatest profession, but behind the exam rooms and the barn doors lie unspoken questions. How much do practice owners really take home? Does ownership bring freedom or just 24/7 responsibility? And why are so many vets afraid to ask questions that could change their careers? Today we pull back the curtain with Dr. Christine Staten, large animal veterinarian, founder of Adobe Veterinary Center, mother, grandmother, and the force behind Veterinary MBA. After 20 years of ownership, she went back for an MBA in her 50s to build a sustainable business, and now she's helping others do the same. This conversation dives into ownership, myths, burnout, delegation, and legacy, truths every veterinarian needs to hear. Dr. Staten, first off, I thought you were no older than 36. How can you be a grandmother?
Thank you so much. No, I'm older than that for sure. Yep, I've got 6 grandbabies. I love it. It's fantastic. And I'm super excited to be here today. Thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, that's so proud. Yeah, I always tell my daughters, I'm always like, when you bring the grandkid, well, I don't have grandkids yet, my wife and I, but I'm like, when they come over, they're going back with Mountain Dew, Snickers, and a kitten.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They have a snack drawer over here. It is this enormous drawer and it's just filled with whatever snacks they want. And they go in it and grab whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah, see, that's perfect. Because then once they get that sugar low, you can just send them home.
Exactly. It's perfect.
It's so much fun. As a parent, you need to get revenge. And as a parent, you need to embarrass. Those are my 2 requirements.
Fair enough.
That's what I always look for. You have a great story because you did not start out in veterinary medicine, if I'm not mistaken. You were you worked in OB-GYN, correct?
Yeah. So I knew since I was 5 years old that I wanted to be an obstetrician. There was nothing going to deter me. And I worked when I was, probably 12 years old. I volunteered at hospitals in the summer as a candy striper and worked in different areas to work my way up, and eventually worked in labor and delivery where I actually had a paid position as a technician for 7 years. I went to college as a pre-med student. I took 0 animal courses in college, none, and applied to medical school. And at every single interview, 7 interviews, I was asked, why don't you want to be a veterinarian? And I stumbled over the answer. And the reality was that I didn't have a good answer. And so I came home and I literally put pen to paper and said, I need to figure out an answer before my next interview so I don't stumble. And it was like a lightning bolt moment. It was like, well, why don't I want to be a veterinarian? And I am an animal kid. Like, I was an animal kid. I grew up in 4-H. I raised tons of animals. I raised golden retrievers. We bred and sold Goldens,
Wow.
in addition to horses and goats and sheep. And I had chickens and guinea pigs and rabbits. We had over 250 rabbits we showed all over the United States with. So I was an animal kid. It was a logical question that I hadn't asked myself yet. And the reality is,
Hold
when
on,
I
hold
put
on, hold
pen
on.
to paper.
Did you say you
Yeah.
showed rabbits? You showed rabbits. Is that
Yeah,
like
all over the country?
is that like cat shows? You know how they put the cats up there and everyone like
Yes.
applauds? Is that how the
Yes,
rabbits
yes.
go?
No, the rabbits, they have to show on breed standard only. So you just put them up there into the cages, and the
Okay.
judge
Okay.
picks the
I'm
best
sorry for
one.
interrupting.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I heard that right.
Oh
Okay.
no, it's so crazy, but it was so fun with my mom. Like, we went all over the country, drove everywhere in our minivan filled with rabbits. It was crazy, and goats sometimes.
The crazy rabbit family.
I know, it was nuts. We hung around other rabbit families, so we just thought it was normal. But anyway, yeah, so I took 2 pieces of paper. One said physician, one said veterinarian, and I wrote a pro-con list on each side. And at the end of writing that, I realized there were a lot of things that veterinary medicine had to offer that had a lot of value to me that were better than human medicine. And so I spent a week interviewing physicians and veterinarians afterwards, and pulled all my applications for medical school, and decided I was going to go to veterinary school after that. And the big reasons that really swayed me were, I didn't want to do an internship and a residency. I was getting married young. I knew I wanted a bunch of kids. Moving around with a spouse that has a job would be challenging. Plus, I didn't want to move. I love where I live. And then the entrepreneurship was a huge part of this. It was a lot easier to own a veterinary practice than to own a human medical practice, in my mind. So for those 2 reasons, I decided to pull my applications and go back to college, because there were a bunch of classes I still had to take. I still never took any animal classes. I had to go back and take biostatistics, biochemistry, and bioethics, which were at that time required to apply to veterinary school. And so I went back to school, working full-time at the hospital. So it took me a couple of years. Yeah, crazy.
And then where did you finally end up in veterinary school?
Colorado State. So I only applied to 3 schools: Colorado, Washington, and Oregon, because I'm in Arizona and we had the WICHE program at that time.
Mhm.
And I got into Washington and Colorado, and Colorado was closer, so I went there. Literally didn't pick it based on the school, and I loved being there, but I was like, which is closer to Tucson, because I wanted to be able to come back and forth pretty easily, because by then I had a baby, so we knew we wanted to come home a lot.
Fort Collins is beautiful too, for any of the listeners who haven't been
Yeah.
there. If you get a chance to
Incredible.
check out that Colorado State campus, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that Fort Collins is Main Street Disney. That's what he based Main Street Disney off of, is Fort Collins.
Oh, the Old Town area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah, I
See?
see it now.
You come on here and you learn a little something.
That's right. I'm always learning.
Well, you said something really interesting. You said, the one thing that stuck out to me was that it was easier to own a veterinary hospital than it would be to own a human practice. So you were going into medical school and veterinary school with the mindset that you wanted to own a business.
Well, I think that that exercise, the pro-con list, is when it really came out to me that the entrepreneurial side of it was really important to me. Prior to that, I thought, oh, it'd be nice to own it, but I don't think I was 100% sure if I was an obstetrician that I would. And I didn't know how that part of the world worked. I worked in a hospital. I worked in labor and delivery. I didn't work in a private practice obstetrician office. So I wasn't I had a lot of kids, so I'd definitely been in them a lot, but I hadn't experienced that. And I liked the idea of being outside. Like that was a component of it too that fit on my pro con list. Being a mobile vet outside was appealing to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we don't talk about mobile, like mixed animal practice. It is awesome because you do get to go visit the farms and go out to the ranches and
Yeah,
you go do fun stuff like that. And a lot of times, if you do feel that the walls are closing in on you, that is an option that you can definitely
sure.
explore. I loved COVID because all my appointments were outside, right? I'd
Yeah.
worked
Oh,
on the
yeah.
animals inside, but I got to go
Sure.
curbside. And it was awesome because I was outside all the time. I wore a scrub top and shorts because obviously in Southern
Yeah.
California, I wasn't going to be dressing, warm,
Ooh,
in
right.
warm in warm clothes. I would never ever in my career wore a white lab coat. I
No.
think that is just ridiculous. Like I got Mediterranean blood in me. I mean, the sweat would start dripping.
Well,
Yeah, I
I'm in
remember.
scrubs. I'm in scrubs for this podcast because I just went to and saw a horse in the field that's colicking and needed fluid therapy. So I that wasn't on my schedule today, but I ran out and saw that
Well,
horse, and it was beautiful because the rain was starting to come down, and I was like, "This is a great day." Not, I mean, I was helping a horse, so that's a good thing.
well, that's a very important point because animals don't choose when they're going to get sick.
No, no.
I mean, and that's an important thing to understand is that, these animals don't want to be sick, but when they are sick, they should be seen. And a lot of, you hear a lot of complaints now in the profession, like, oh no, we're just, we can't just get animals in, we're fully booked. And it's like some animals are truly sick and they need to be seen. And I know it's hard, but unfortunately, that's part of the profession.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that I now have a practice that has 5 small animal vets and 5 large animal vets. So we can get to most things, or we can see most things that are brought in. I think it's harder when you're solo or maybe a 2 vet practice. I can see both sides of that for sure. But yeah, we do, the large animal side is 24/7. So we see whatever we can, whatever we can fit in, and we have a hospital. So if they can bring it to us, we can see multiple at a time with our our technician staff on. But yeah, there's a limit. If we're seeing ambulatory, we can't be at 2 places at the same time.
Well, try to do ambulatory in Southern California. That could take you 6 hours to get
No,
between.
sounds horrible. Horrible.
So how long were you out before you owned when that entrepreneurial bug really kicked in?
So I knew when I was in vet school that I was going to work for my vet, the vet I had growing up. She is a mixed animal, ambulatory, no employee, drove around for 20 years by herself. And I knew that I was going to be her first associate. And we had talked while I was in vet school about our first contract. My employment contract was going to have a path to practice ownership of 5 years. So from day one, that was going to happen. I also told her, we discussed, but she said she was open to the fact that I said, we're going to grow, we're going to scale, we're going to have a brick and mortar someday, and we're going to have techs and maybe a receptionist and some other things that are important.
We're going to pull
And
ourselves out of the 50s.
right. And she was open to that. She was the best business partner because she just sat back and let me run with it. It was like I was a solo owner, but every now and then she had an opinion, and whatever it was important because she wouldn't have it otherwise. I'd say she made 5% of the decisions and let me run with 95% of the decisions. And certainly she had a lot more equity, like she owned a home and stuff. So when a piece of property came up, we were able to buy it with her home. Like it was a phenomenal partnership. And then when she retired 9 years ago, she got to take advantage of the growth of the practice as I'm still buying her out. So I had a path to practice ownership of 5 years, but I bought in 3.5 years after graduation. I had hit that point and was ready to buy in as a 50% owner at that point.
Well, some people, and especially early career professionals, would say that's too soon. Do you believe that to be true?
No, I've worked with several people who graduated vet school and started their own practice immediately. I don't. I think it depends on what your history is, what your life was like before. Did your parents own a business? Do you understand what practice ownership is about? Are you, initially you're the only revenue generator, so it's hard to both run the practice and run and generate revenue. But if you can figure out a way to do that, if you have a spouse that's helping you or a family member that can help you, yeah, I really think if somebody wants to start a practice right out of vet school, they can. And I've helped several of them do that. I know many that I didn't help do it, but I have a path to practice ownership program, and I've worked with a bunch of students that have done it just fine. Most of them are rural, most of them are mixed, but one of them just bought a practice that was for sale and jumped right in.
So now your veterinary clinic, you have 2 sites. I think you said you have 10 or 11 doctors total.
Yeah, we're across the street from each other. So 2 sites, yes, but they're across the street from each other. The large animal and small animal, and 5 vets at each. Yeah.
Are you the largest facility in around?
Yeah, in Southern Arizona. Yeah, for sure. Private practice. Yeah.
Private practice. Yeah. I would love to get in and talk about that. Can you walk us through the journey of how, I know you said you had a partner and you started growing some things, but were there, talk about this growth, because that's pretty incredible that now for you to be able to employ 11 veterinarians when people are dying just to find one is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Well, I think the journey was messy. I knew nothing about business. My parents didn't own businesses. I didn't know anyone that owned a business. So it was very messy. Luckily, my husband was in the utility. He was in the utility industry, and he was a manager. So he had some HR experience. He'd gone to training for HR. And so when we were starting to build our actual physical building, which was a leap of faith, we built a 6,000 square foot building, and we were 2 ambulatory vets. We're like, how are we going to fill this? I don't know. We'll just try. And I asked my husband, I need your help, because we were running busy. We were running 13-hour days in our trucks. By then we had technicians, and he came on and helped with HR initially. And then I finally made him quit his job. I said, you got to stay here, because we have 4 little kids at this point. And I'm like, you can have flexibility. I need you to, could you stay with the kids and be on site for this build and help us hire people? So having that support, especially because I was ambulatory, literally dark to dark. I loved it. Other people might think that's awful. I loved emergency work. I loved driving around and seeing patients. And I love generating a ton of revenue to help us build this. We could defer a lot of the costs, take out a much smaller loan, because we were cash flowing a ton of that build with what we were making. So the growth. So we just grew slowly. We had a vet, and then we got another vet. And at that point, when we first got a veterinarian, they were small animal only. So we said, great, we'll be large animal only. That's how if somebody had come in and said, I can do large, I might have become a small animal doctor. We just did what we needed to do to have a building. And we decided we're going to split it to small animal and large animal separate. That worked well for us. And I don't know, we just grew. It wasn't a straight road. We definitely veered off a lot. We got stuck in the mud a lot. We grew, shrunk. And then probably about the time, and we were good, but about the time she wanted to retire 9 years ago, I realized I don't even know what our vision, mission, core values are. Did we even write them? So I went back to her. I don't have any memory of writing anything.
Well, was that about the time we were thinking about the MBA? You're like, oh.
Not yet, not even close.
Because that's the biggest mistake. A lot of businesses know their mission statement, but no one knows the vision statement. And the vision statement is like the foundation. What was your vision when you started this? And
We had none.
anyways,
Yeah,
I
we
digress.
had none. No, I think it's really important. We had none. We paid someone to write our business plan. The bank, somebody at the bank, I think, wrote it. They wrote our vision, mission, and core values. I had never read them. So when she retired, I thought, I now am a sole owner. I'm going to dig those out. I dug them out. I read them. They were horrible. So I spent some time trying to figure out what they really were, but not that they were horrible. We weren't doing anything towards them. If I don't know what they are, none of my decisions were based upon them. So I decided to rewrite them, and I did, and then act upon them. I think that's what really changed. So 9 years ago, everything changed. And we had two years before that, or I guess it's been 12 years, we started to do strategic planning, which also changed everything, where we go away with our management team. We go away for 3 days and we are serious strategic planning, and we come back. My sister-in-law owned an accounting firm, and so she taught me how to do that. And she had given a satisfaction survey to her team. That's where their strategic planning was based upon those responses. And so we changed her form into our form. And my team now takes a 17-page survey every year, and they do not hold back. They tell me everything that they want changed. And all of our strategic planning is based on it. And once we started strategic planning and got our mission, vision, core values, it was like it just was able to take off. We were able to make hiring decisions based upon it, all of that. We were able to make firing decisions. We were able to make system changes. And it's not perfect ever. But man, we get our culture. Like everyone in there understands it, and we have a wait list of people who want to work there in every position, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean that is a huge kudos to you to have that many people that want to work at your practice, because veterinarians are leapfrogging from practice to practice to practice because they can't find that right culture. They can't find that right fit, and it's very hard to find. And it's no joke, and it's so heartwarming to hear that you got it right. It sounds like you got it right.
Well, I got it right for some people. Like, we're not the perfect culture for everybody. I've had 2 people leave because of my mission statement. They said we're not aligned with it, and they left. And I was like, well, you signed it when you came on. Like, we have you read it and sign it on day one. But
Do you
they
have
left
all your
because of it.
employees sign that? Do you have all your employees sign that?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. They have to read that and agree to it, and we go over it with them. We also have a code of conduct that we go over with them. It's behavioral. So some of the behaviors that we expect in our business might not be aligned with how they want to work, and that's okay too. Many people who don't do well in our culture are doing great other places in town. I don't think that there is such thing as a perfect culture. I think we've created a culture that attracts a lot of people and retains a lot of people, but it's not for everyone.
Do you believe all your employees think they have psychological safety?
Absolutely. I know they do, because
Yeah.
I
They tell
did
you
something.
exactly how they feel.
Yeah, I mean, I brought somebody in for a training that I thought would go well. It did not go well. Um, it offended some people, and they had no problem chatting with me about it immediately. And it really broke their trust in me. And I had a lot of repair work to do, but I do think they do. Yeah. I work really hard for that. I think it's really important. And you can tell when someone has come into our practice who's not been in a practice like that, because they're afraid to admit their mistakes. And we just had to talk to somebody at our place who was blaming other things like, that's not what you told me to the doctor. And the doctor was like, I literally told her this. And I said, before we get upset with her, I bet she would get in big trouble if she made mistakes at her last place. And we had a talk with her, and she's like, if I make a mistake, you're going to fire me. And I was like, no, you need to tell us when you make mistakes. We don't care. We make mistakes all the time. So
Yeah. Wow.
it's crazy.
What a scary, scary cloud to live under. Could you imagine every day?
No.
I mean, expecting someone to be perfect all the time. That,
No.
woof. Church doesn't even make you feel that way.
No, you can't be. And yeah, so I do think, I mean, I hope that that's the case. I guess I shouldn't make it sound so rosy, but I do think everyone feels psychologically safe there. They certainly are empowered. Their voice matters, and they know that. Every single person there knows that. Meetings are discussions, and they have as much voice as anyone else in the room. Anyone. Even the new people, even students. We bring a lot of externs through. We have an arrangement with the University of Arizona. We see about 35 veterinary students a year for 4-week rotations. Most of those are through the University of Arizona. Some are through other schools. And even them, I tell them on day one, if you see something here that you think we could do better, or you've seen a practice do it better, can you please tell me this? And they're shocked. And I said, don't tell everybody, just tell me. Because if the 35 students are telling everybody how to do things better, it might get crazy. But yeah, they've brought us great ideas and we've implemented them. So even they're empowered.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, and it's not that I don't want you're not boasting. I just want to make sure that the listeners understand that this does exist. This is not like a unicorn type concept. You just have to find it. And that's the hard part. That is the very, very difficult part.
Yeah. And I think I was not a good owner. I was not a good manager for sure. And I didn't know it. So I don't think there's anyone intentionally creating a culture that's not great. I just think it's hard when you're also the revenue generator to focus on the practice. And, I learned that once I learned how important it was for me to be the CEO of my practice, I recognized, me sitting at this desk in my house is as important or more than me spending a day out generating revenue. Once that happened, everything flips and changes at that point. Working on my practice, it's the Peter Weinstein talks about working on your practice and in your practice. It's really important. So I think a lot of places that are having culture issues, it's really hard to step back and figure out what the problems are. But a lot of times it's just asking your team, what are the problems here, guys? And then ask them what the solutions are, and then do what they say. Like that's the third step's really important.
Yeah, I did that a couple of times, and it always came down to like, you need to fire this person, you need to get rid of this person, you need to get rid of this person. And it's just like that's not the answer. Let's come up with a plan B. Let's come.
Yeah. And you ask open-ended questions. Yeah.
Right.
And they give you good answers. Some of my favorite questions on our survey are, what do we need to start doing that we're not doing? And what do we need to stop doing that we are doing? You're going to get some really good answers in there. And one year they all came back, a bunch came back and said, we need to stop doing nail trims. Well, that year I'd sent 5 of my team members to urgent care, all because of something that they got bit, or I think they were all bites. One was a scratch during a nail trim. And I was like, why are we doing these? So we had a big meeting and we talked about nail trims, and we said, if we stop doing nail trims, what are the barriers? What are the things we're going to come up against? How do we want to roll this out? And this was a team discussion based upon that. And we stopped doing nail trims. We don't do any nail trims at our clinic. And people want to work for us when they hear that, because it's just such a miserable thing. But there was 100 reasons to stop. For us, there were no good reasons to keep doing it. And our team came up with the plan on how we were going to roll it out. So we were going to give everybody a 3-month heads up. In 3 months, we're going to stop. We scheduled nail trim appointments for a half an hour in that 3 months so that we could train them. We put videos online on how to do it. We reached out to all our local groomers and said, hey, can we put you on a list to do nail trims? And they said, yes, please. I said, who are the problems? Let's reach out to them first. And they gave me a list. And I said, and people said, I'll call that one. I'll call that one. So they heard before the email. And then there was one lady, they said, she's not going to tolerate this. And I said, great. How old's her dog? Like super old, 17. I said, great. She's the exception. We will continue. It's not worth the energy. We're just going to continue to do hers. How does everyone feel about that? And they're like, yes. So as a group, we come up with this, but it came from that survey. And it was a dream for me because whenever you're looking for a tech, there's like 4 on a dog, getting a nail trim. It was not what they needed to be doing with their time and their expertise.
Is there
That's
anything
just an example?
Is there anything that still keeps you up at night that you remember was a mistake as a business owner? Looking back, do you have that one thing?
I know I do. Do you tell me yours while I'm thinking? I have a lot of things that keep me up at night. So
when I was an owner, I had gotten to the point where, I was running that practice. I was running myself ragged and I was running people away because I expected everyone to think, act, and be the same as me. And I call it the come to Jesus talk. My wife and my practice manager, my wife's a full-time vet, and they both sat me down and they said, what you are expecting out of these people that are barely, not even making living wage is ridiculous. And that was such an eye-opening experience. And I still remember that talk to this day. It was back in 2006. I had owned the practice for 2 years and it changed me. Boom, just like that.
wow.
Yeah, that was the one that I will never forget.
Yeah. I think I don't have the moment, but I have the exact same. The first thing that came to mind was that situation. And I'll tell you the 2 extremes of it. So I remember when we first got open and we had our receptionists and they were in scrub tops. And I thought, no, I want them to be in something that sets them apart and they look like receptionists to the clients. So I said, we're going to order, when the Land's End catalog, we're getting this polo top. Everyone's getting it. And it was a catalog. And I said, so here, look at the measurements. Tell me what size you want. And we had 3 receptionists at the time. And they came to me back with the catalog and they had flagged, there were Post-it notes sticking out the sides of things that they would prefer. And they had spent time doing this. And I got mad. I was like, this is my practice. Why did they're going to come and go. This is my practice forever. Why would they think that they get to decide what they wear? And I dug my heels in. I remember being angry at them for even bringing that up. And it sickens me now to think that. But those were my emotions. This is my practice. I picked these. I spent all this time figuring it out. This is what you're wearing. So I ordered those. I ordered what I wanted. And they didn't like them. And they weren't great fits. For one of the girls was larger, and that was why they cared deeply, because they knew it wouldn't look good on her and would not be flattering. And fast forward to like 3 years ago, in the satisfaction surveys, the receptionist said, I think we would love new chairs. So I went to the receptionist. At that time it was 7, and I said, here's my credit card. You have two rules. They have to match, and you all have to agree. Buy whatever chairs you want. That extreme change in me wasn't a moment. I wish someone had had to come to Jesus meeting with me so that I could have gotten there faster. But that was the change that needed to happen. Because here's the other thing about what that did. They spent weekends together, running around to stores, sitting in chairs, having a blast, bonding together. By the time they decided what chairs they were going to buy, they bought them with the card. They didn't even check with me, because I told them, don't check with me. They bought chairs that were probably half the price of what I would have felt obligated to buy for them. And they arrived in boxes and they built them during their shifts. they're never going to complain about those chairs, right?
Right.
Like there's so much good that came out of that I wish I could go back in time and fix all the times that I dug my heels in and said, my practice, my decision, because it's not just my practice, it's their practice. And if they're not feeling that every day, they're not going to be best for the clients and the patients.
Myth versus reality. If you're a good veterinarian, you would make a good business owner.
I don't think that's a reality. I think that anyone can learn to be a good business owner, but I think you want to be a good business owner. I think it's hard. And I think our, the generation before us, they were business owners because they had to be. So, there weren't a bunch of practices with a bunch of associates. I think anyone can learn to be a great business owner, but if you absolutely resent it, it's really going to be hard on you. Unless you get a really good team, a professional team that's doing the stuff for you.
And I got my MBA in my late 40s, and I think you got yours in your 50s.
At 50, yeah, it was my midlife crisis. Yeah,
mine was too. Holy cow! Yes, mine was too. What drove you to that? Other than a midlife crisis, what drove you to the decision? Hey, I need to go get this degree.
So I'm large animal veterinarian, and I have pretty significant neck problems. And I knew that, and I hurt very badly. Like I couldn't sleep with the pain. And I went through about 2.5 years of physical therapy, of doctor appointments, and finally my neurologist, who's also a horse owner and a client, sat across from me and said, you need to stop. You cannot continue to see large animals. You can't do dentistry. You can't do all the things you love. And because he saw me do them, and he said, those are what's hurting you. And I ignored him and said, I love this too much. I'm going to do it. And then there was this moment where I had my first grandbaby. So it was 4.5 years ago. And she was just a couple months old. And I went to lay her in the crib, and I couldn't because my neck hurt so bad. I couldn't lower her. My body couldn't do that. And it was that moment I knew I could not do full-time large animal medicine anymore. I was done. So I went through kind of a mourning process, grieving process of, I love what I do. How am I going to use my degree in a good way? And I thought through all the things. Should I go get acupuncture certified? Should I do small animals? Should I open a physical therapy for small animals? That the techs are doing the physical stuff, I'm manning it. I went through all these processes, and my husband actually said, what do you love best about vet med? And I said, I love this practice. I love these team members. I love providing service for my community and jobs for my community. And I love that. And he said, then that's where you should probably put your effort. And so that's why I went back and got my MBA. Now, at the time I was still full-time vet. I hadn't actually given up the practice part yet. So I was doing it at night, like 3 a.m. I'm up
3 a.m.
writing
before
papers.
Everyone wakes up. Yeah, that's what I did.
No, like not going to bed. I'm going to bed at 3 because I'm doing papers. Yeah. So, but that's why it became how can I be a better leader? How can I grow better as a manager, as a leader? How can I run this practice better so that I'm still taking care of my community in the way I want to, even though I might not be seeing the patients myself as frequent. So that was why I went back.
Has the MBA changed anything, the way you do anything at your practice now?
I became much more self-aware of my leadership or the areas that I lacked in leadership, and I became better at that. Emotional intelligence, I had a whole course on that. That was enlightening. So I think for me, it changed me internally. So I'm a better leader and a manager. I'm much better at delegating and outsourcing. After that, I learned where I fit into that, into those roles. So it changed me internally. So it changed my practice secondarily. Absolutely. Yeah.
So with your veterinary MBA program that you have going on now, what gap are you trying to fill in the veterinary profession?
So in the second week of my MBA, it hit me. I know what I'm going to do in addition to running this practice. I now know what I'm going to spend a lot of time doing, and that is creating resources that I wish I had during my journey. That's it. That's what I wanted to create. So things that I am now doing well that I did poorly, I want to talk about those, and then add in a little bit of the stuff from the actual MBA courses so that it's got a little more substance, not just my experience. And I'd done a billion other trainings. I was constantly learning leadership. So I thought, I'm going to make resources available to people in the form of videos for pain points. So you struggle with running good meetings, here's a class on effective meetings. You're hiring the wrong people, here's a class on how to hire the right people. You're treading water, here's a course on how to do strategic planning. So it was creating resources for pain points that I wish I would have had. That was what I wanted to do and did.
So the people who take these courses, are they owners or do you have associates as well?
Not associates, but managers. So initially I thought I'm talking to practice owners, but then as I'm talking to them about my most popular course is about outsourcing and delegating, I'm realizing managers are following me. Managers are reaching out to me because their practice owners are doing exactly what they should be doing, which is outsourcing. And so really I'm talking to practice managers and practice owners. I do have courses for people who are wanting to be practice owners. So because that's what people came to me with, like, help me be a practice owner, help me be a practice owner. And I was like, well, I can tell you what I know. And it's been really fun. What I lacked, so backing up a little, pre-internet, right? When we were practicing, pre-anything, my entire practice management and leadership was based upon two books that I owned, Mark Opperman's and Jim Wilson's. I think
Mark
just
Opperman.
owned the
Wow.
two.
You're going
right,
old
those
school.
Are the book. Yeah, and Jim Wilson, like he had his book, and those are the two books in my truck. That's how I managed. And the other way was every conference I went to, live conference, because we weren't texting, we didn't even have these, right? I found practice owners. I was like, let's talk. And those couch discussions at the bar at night or in the hotel lobby were me absorbing as much as I could. And over time, I realized that it had shifted significantly. I'm still absorbing every day. I'll learn stuff from this podcast. But I was giving a lot of advice and people were getting back to me and saying, thank you so much. I tried that. It worked really well in my practice. And so I started to feel like, wait, I can help these people because I've been doing it on couches. How can I do it in a way that is a little more impactful for more people? So that's what I did. I just started recording videos and they're very organic. They're sometimes me in a face, sometimes there's a PowerPoint and it's, here's how to do that. Here's how I did it wrong. Here's why I think that it didn't work that way. Here's another way I did it wrong. Here's another way I did it wrong. Here's why it didn't work. Here's how we do it now. Seems to be working pretty well. That's pretty much the outline of each course.
And it's authentic. And that's what people are looking for. I mean, that's where we are now. It's no longer social media. It's more interest-based media. Because the algorithm is being driven by what you search on Google, and your phone's always listening and what you're talking about, and you very rarely go on social media now and see the people you're following. You see everything else.
Right.
So what you were doing is you were doing that. You were that phone. You were that Google search back then when you were sitting there and just taking up those notes and having those couch discussions.
Yeah.
And another thing I found very interesting is because, and I don't want to bore the listeners with our MBA talk, but when I went back and got my MBA, I was not looking forward to the organizational behavior class. I was like, why the heck am I going to take this? The
Yes.
funny thing is, through my entire MBA at Pepperdine, I loved that organizational behavior class. And all my electives were in emotional intelligence, leadership.
Yes.
And the MBA made me realize, though, that I no longer wanted to do accounting. I no longer wanted to do finance. I no longer wanted to do worry about business law, contracts, all those things you learn in your MBA. And that organizational behavior class, as much as I thought I was going to hate it, I didn't realize what the impact was. So my question to you is, do you think, because you really enjoyed that part as well, it sounds like, is it because we're lacking such leadership in the profession that you and I were yearning to learn more about it?
Oh, for sure. I loved my MBA. I loved organizational
Mhm.
behavior, and I got mine through LSU. And the reason I went there is they had a track you could do a concentration, and I did family business. So I didn't have to take macroeconomics. I didn't have to take international business. I literally got to take classes that were directly related to what I was doing. And I agree with you. Organizational behavior, I remember when I got the book, I was like, oh, this is going to be horrible.
I
And
thought it
it
was all
was
going to be HR
amazing.
stuff, HR nightmares.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was exciting for me. I took it at a time when I wanted to do it. I could cash flow it, which was really, important to me. I was like, well, I can afford it. Let's just do this. But there were two of my courses that I would was putting virtual groups where we had to do group projects. And it was so frustrating because everyone I was in a group with, I don't think they wanted to be there. And they didn't own businesses. I was the only one in the room that owned a business. And it was very frustrating to have group projects with people who had never applied what they were learning, and were most of those people were being paid by their current employer to do it, which is a very different, they were just trying to get through it. And I was trying to, like, what can I take back to my practice tomorrow? What can I take back to me to change me today? It's just cool.
And what I did with mine is I started writing emails to the CEO and the head of HR and the head of the regional manager and then also the Western manager of the corporate group that bought me out, explaining why they were doing things wrong from a scholarly. And I finally
Yeah.
got a cease and desist letter from the
Oh
attorney.
no.
I
Yeah.
would send them papers. I would send them lecture notes. I would do
Oh
all this,
no.
and they would be like, "No more." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I guess you guys don't want to learn."
You don't want to learn. Yeah, I mean, it was exciting to just
Yeah.
have some validation and also be called out on stuff. Like when I in one of the ones I took, which was called leadership communication, every week we had to do a self-evaluation of a personality test. So all the personality tests you can think of, I've taken them myself. And then we had to write reports on them. And some of them I had to actually pass out anonymously in my clinic. Whew,
Yeah.
that's telling. Like, here are 10 surveys, somebody take them, don't tell me. And then you have to write a paper on it. Yeah. It was very personal for me. Every course was personal for me.
Yeah. And I know the last thing a lot of veterinary professionals want to hear is like, "Oh, you should go back to school, get another degree." But let me let me tell you, the MBA was so worth it. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's all business oriented. I don't care about it." No, 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 no. It changes you, at least at Pepperdine. And I'm not trying to, say, "Oh, Pepperdine's the best," but
Yeah.
Pepperdine's pretty great. But they want to create leaders who want to challenge the norm and change the world. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're trying to do. And they definitely brought it out in me. Look at me now. I'm going on to get my doctorate, trying to make
Yeah.
some sort of change in the profession. And,
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. So
Yeah.
we'll move on from the MBA talk, but I do have an idea I want to talk to you about later. Um,
Yeah. I
me-
don't think that practice owners need to go get their MBA. So many people reach out to me about it. I think that you're busy right now, but it does have a lot of positives to it, and you can do
But
it at
you were
night. So
working
if you
full
have a
time and I
desire,
was working full time. We were both working full time. We did
yeah,
it. It's
yeah,
it's
it's
so
doable.
doable.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
it's fun. But if you resent it, if you don't want to do it, if it sounds awful, don't do
And
it.
don't
It
do it.
will be awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
necessary.
But if you want to, do not even hesitate a second. Go for it.
Yeah.
What's the worst
Yeah.
that can happen? You just drop it. You're like, oh, I'm done now. This wasn't for me. Perfect. At least you tried. You know,
Yeah.
that's the way to go. I got another myth versus reality for you. Owning a clinic automatically means financial freedom.
No, not automatically. But man, it can give you a lot of financial freedom. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, the tax strategy alone from owning any business, you don't have to own a clinic, own a business. I have 7 LLCs. Like, we have businesses in this house. So make sure you own something to get some tax credits for it. But yeah, I think that you can so I think there's a lot
Creative
of
accounting.
opportunity for financial. Yeah, legally, you can decrease your personal spending significantly legally. I have an incredible tax strategist who I trust and talk to regularly, a whole team. And I think business ownership is really something everyone should have. With our current tax code, it's ridiculous not to own a business. All of my children, I have 5 children. One is still at home in high school. The other 4 are adults. And I'm like, what LLC are you opening? Let's get this
Yeah.
going. So
I
automatically,
believe
no. And at the beginning, no, for sure.
right. But I believe associates should probably think about incorporating themselves somehow for the tax liabilities, you know?
Sure. Yeah,
I mean,
there's
it's
ways to do
important.
it. No, and
Absolutely.
I think financial freedom, also financial fluidity, maybe, because right now I am making money with Veterinary MBA, and that money is being used to remodel rooms in my clinic and do big remodels. I'm choosing, that's what I want to do with it. So that's the fluidity of saying, I guess it is freedom. I get to do whatever I want with the money that I make. Veterinary MBA generates some income, and I want to put it back into my practice. I also can go on a nice vacation because it can be a tax write-off. And my kids are my board of advisors, so we can all go on a vacation. So a lot of those personal expenses are decreasing the tax burden on the clinic. And you can't talk to everyone and have them understand this, but here's the analogy. If I'm going on a vacation, I'm just going to put a big amount, $10,000. I'm taking my family. We have 16 members with my kids and grandkids and their spouses. If we're going on a vacation that's going to cost $10,000 and I take an owner's draw from the clinic and then go on that vacation with $10,000, I have to take $10,000 from the clinic. If I can use it as a board of advisors meeting, then I decrease the tax burden. If I use clinic money, doesn't come into me, then I reduce my tax burden by that. So it's decreased profit. So really, I'm only taking $5,000 from the clinic to go on that vacation because 50% of that would have gone to taxes. Like, that's the stuff that's really fun, but also
But hold on,
like
but if you go
real.
at a veterinary meeting while you're on this vacation, then it's 100% write-off.
It's 100% right off the way we do it with our board of advisors too.
Yeah.
You only have to do
Yeah.
50% of the days as business. So we have
Right.
meetings, we take minutes, we do photo shoots. Yeah, we know how to do it legally.
Yeah, I opened up a management company because I buy VRBO properties. And every time I go on vacation, I always go look at properties.
Every time. Our research and development. We own Airbnbs as well. And so every vacation is a research and development. Yeah, of course. It's legal.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it is.
but
Like,
yeah,
the tax code is like, I know this is longer, but it's like, what, 8,000 pages and only 12 pages. 12 pages tell you how to pay your taxes. The rest is to tell you how not to pay taxes. Like, it's
yeah.
real good.
So if you're up late at night, just type it in the chat, go over the 8,000 pages and break it down for me. You'll be amazed at some of the ways you could get some write-offs, which are completely legal. Completely legal.
Absolutely. Completely.
I'm not,
They're in there
and
for a
I'm not
reason.
I'm not saying for people to do illegal things, but for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just think you're asking about financial freedom. You have a lot more freedom to spend the money where you want to in the practice. I think that's huge too. We put a lot back into our practice because we're thinking of legacy. So that's our choice. That's the freedom.
So if you have a young professional that is afraid of kickback or not asking right, but they're interested in ownership, partnership, profits, how do you coach them to approach the owner on that?
I hope they talked about it before they got hired. Like, I think that's real important. Right now, in the last several years, as you know, corporate offers are going to be higher than an associate can pay. I just have been working with somebody who was trying to buy into their practice, and they just found out that, unbeknownst to them, through this whole process, that the owner sold. And what they sold to corporate for was substantially more than the practice valued at, and substantially more than the associate could have paid for or gotten a loan for. So I think I think there's different ways to do it, and we're discussing some of that. We met with our financial advisor yesterday, and we're meeting with our tax strategist later to talk about what does it look like to start to have a gradual buy-in. So there's some shares in there so that that's less likely to happen maybe. But I think even if you sat down at hiring and said, I want to buy into this practice in 5 years, I think unfortunately that owner, when they made that verbal agreement with you or agreed with you that that's something they wanted to,
Get it
it's
in writing.
changed, but it
You got to
still
get it
has
in writing.
changed. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. But I think also, I don't blame any owner either. Like, if you're offered the amount of money that this owner just got for this practice was $8 million and it appraised at 4. So, like, who would not take that? It's not just an owner being greedy. They're like, here are my 2 options in front of me. So I think, unfortunately, it's a little harder now. And I think that's why a lot of people are opening their own practices. I see a lot more of that.
Yeah. Do you think what about the concept of also, if you are going to buy in, make sure you set the price before you start working there and start building the practice?
I disagree with that for sure.
You do.
I think,
You
yeah,
do.
I do. I think that who's paying the marketing budget that whole time? Who's bringing in clients? Who's bearing the stress during all that? It's the owner. I think when you buy in, the value it is there, your contribution, and I know that not everyone agrees with me on this, but as an associate, your contribution to that practice has not been risk-based. It hasn't been financial. You haven't put in anything financially to build that practice up. You haven't taken the financial hits that owner has taken when 2 receptionists leave and they've got to rehire and retrain people. I don't think if your practice is built where your clients are bonded to all your staff, I really don't think that the associate has put in anything to build that practice up. They were compensated for the work they did. And I know that people feel differently, and I'm certainly not trying to be controversial. I'm the one paying to run the website. I'm marketing that doctor to everybody. I'm buying the little brochures about them. I'm updating their profile on the website that I pay for. I'm teaching the receptionist how to tell them what a great doctor this is. These are my thoughts, but I think that when you decide to buy in, that's when you're assuming risk, and that's the value of the practice starts there.
Yeah, well, because when I went in, I knew I wanted to buy in the practice right out of school. I was out a year, and I knew I've always been a business person, and I wanted to buy in and be my own boss because I also know myself. I know my truth, and I can't work for anybody. But the one thing I did, though, because my dad had his PhD in economics, he made me fix the price before I started building the practice, because I came in knowing that I was going to have skin in the game.
Yeah.
I think we grew 35% my first year there.
Yeah. I mean, I did 80% of the revenue at my practice when I bought in. She did 20%. So, and I grew it too, but I had
Did that
no
ever
risk.
frustrate you by chance?
Not
Did
at
that
all.
really ever like eat at you at
I mean,
all? Like, I'm doing all this
no,
work and she's reaping all the benefits?
no. I was compensated, percentage-based compensation.
Oh, you're
I loved working hard. I, it didn't bug me. I knew that I had to buy in faster because it was growing pretty fast. The value was going up. So I had to get in there. But that risk, like, what it feels like. And an associate doesn't know that. In the middle of the night, what you wake up with when you're sweating is, I personally am responsible for 53 electric bills. That is on my back. If I screw up, if I make bad decisions, I can't pay my own house's electric bill, either clinic or my 50 employees. If they lose their jobs because of decisions I make, if I can't employ them, if I can't run a sustainable business because of bad decisions, they can't continue to do the things that they like to do. That, to me, it has value. And that's what building a practice is, and that's where the value comes in. And once you assume that as an owner and you feel that, then you get to reap the benefits of ownership. And being an owner isn't always a lot of benefits. There's years that there aren't benefits. There's years that my husband and I put money back into the practice. So there's risk and reward, and no associate on those bad years was like, hey, I'll put some money in and help you through this rough year. That's not happening, even if they're building the practice up. So personally, this is my personal, I never felt that way. I just bought in fast.
I love it. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a risk taker, and that's one of the biggest traits of every entrepreneur. You know there's going to be risk. And so it doesn't mean you have to be a risk taker to be an entrepreneur, but you're taking 100% of the liability when you own a practice. And you're absolutely correct. The bank doesn't care whether you made or lost money. They want their check. Your staff doesn't care if you made or lost money. They want their salary.
Yeah.
The state and the feds, at least in California, want their taxes. They want the payroll taxes. They need their Social Security. So it is stressful, but it is also one of the most rewarding things you can do, in my opinion. For me,
For sure.
I'm addicted. I'm addicted to. I was talking to my buddy the other day, and it truly came true to me. Making money is an adrenaline rush for me.
Yeah. Yeah, play the game, right? The
Oh,
game is.
yeah. Yeah. Some people
so
need a
fun.
roller coaster. Some people need a fast car. Some
Yeah.
people jump out of a plane. For me, it's starting a business or running a business and going for it. That's
Yeah.
my adrenaline
I
rush.
think,
That's my hit.
yeah. I think when I think of my business, there are lots of years that we didn't generate a lot of revenue. That was my decision. We did a lot of investing back in. This year's one of those years, probably. But I love, more than anything else, providing good jobs. Like, to me, 50 people in my community have a job that they like. I hope all of them do. And we did something 2 days ago, something happened at our practice that has been a dream for me for 20 years. And I said I was going to do it one day, and we opened a childcare center. So today there are 5 little girls in the childcare center at my clinic, employee kids. And it's free. It's free because I want that. And is it going to cost me? Yeah. Is the ROI there? I don't know. Probably. I hope so. But I lost my techs on the second baby, and it's made me sad. The math didn't math. So we're not going to do that anymore. That's not going to be the reason they leave. They can choose to leave if they want, but they get to leave their kids there. So
Well, instead of
today's
spending
day
the
2.
money, Yeah, but instead of spending the money on, bringing in a new tech, a new doctor, a new
Yeah,
receptionist, you're
sure.
actually putting that money towards the good. And wow, that's incredible.
We're a family friendly practice, and I love that about us. And I can't keep saying that, and I can't keep true to my values and core
Unless you
values
do something.
without doing something like that. So the addition that we built was really expensive for it. I don't know if that'll have ROI, but the annual upkeep of it will have direct ROI.
Oh, I thought
But
you just
because of turnover.
you just used one of the stalls in the large animal clinic.
No, we did a big addition. Yeah, the addition had multiple rooms, but this was one of the big rooms. Yeah, so 2 days ago that opened. Yesterday was kind of our trial, and today there's someone in there watching 5 little girls run around, and I've gone over there like 3 times and just beaming. I'm like, this was what I wanted to do, and that's part of practice ownership, right? That's the freedom. I can do
Yep.
this because I want to. We don't have to do nail trims because we don't want to do them. I don't care if you want to do nail trims. Great. I can open a daycare center because I want to open a daycare center, and my practice can sustain that, at least right now. So I
It's
think that's
incredible.
part of practice ownership. Yeah, it's exciting.
It's absolutely amazing. So when you work with these veterinary students that are coming out now,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one thing you need? Do you think they need the most?
Confidence. Easy. And I've hired a ton of new grads. So I think the hardest part of mentorship for me isn't competence, it's confidence. And there's a part of me that's sad about that. And I'm not trying to be the old lady vet that says, I was fine when I graduated, but I graduated, I got into a truck, I didn't have a cell phone, and I saw appointments on day one. And no one told me I couldn't. And I think now that veterinary schools, and I say this just broadly, I don't understand how it's happening. Veterinary schools are teaching them how to be vets and then somehow telling them they're not ready. And that hurts my heart. And I'm not saying mentorship's not important. I have mentored many new grads, most of which are still with me. I have one that's been there for 11 years, 7 years, 4 years, 5 years. Like, they're staying. I did a good job mentoring them, but I'm sad that they feel like they need so much mentorship. And I think it's a confidence issue. That's
You've
my
been
thoughts.
described as you've been described as unapologetically unbalanced. What does that mean?
Well, I despise the term work-life balance. Despise. And the reason is I don't think it's attainable because it's not definable. If you ask anyone to define their personal work-life balance on a piece of paper with a pencil, they cannot do it. What is it? Is it time? Is it energy? What is it that they're trying to balance? I don't think they even know. I think they know the concept that they're trying to convey is I want a life outside of work. And for me, I love everything I do so much, and it's so intertwined that balance sounds horrible. It sounds stagnant. And tomorrow my balance is different than what I needed today. Growth involves becoming unbalanced. I just hate the term. I think the problem with the term is if you're trying to attain work-life balance and you can't even define it, then it becomes unattainable. And if your happiness is based upon attaining it, you're never going to be happy. So choosing to find ways to be happy and not always say, oh, shoot, I'm not balanced, it breaks my heart. I don't care if I'm sitting on a beach looking at my phone and looking up lab work from a dog or a horse. Let's do a horse because I don't have a dog. I'm not a dog vet. That doesn't bug me at all. Nothing about that bothers me. I care deeply about my business and my patients. And I found where I fit well in this, that I have enough flexibility. Everyone at my work works 3 or 4 day work weeks. So to me, if your balance is time, if that's what you're saying, You have 168 hours every week. If you work 50 hours and you sleep 50 hours, you still got 68 hours. You're already balanced more life than work, right? So, sorry, it just makes me sad that people are trying to attain something that's not attainable.
Well, you and I have discussed in the past, and I wrote that article. It's about professional sustainability. And it's not a balance. It's just, what is it going to take for you to be able to be happy in your life and happy in your profession? And that's not the same for everybody. And it just kind of bugs me with the work-life balance thing, that we try to put everybody in the same bucket, because not everybody is in the same bucket. Everyone has different things in their life. They have different goals. They have different values. They have different relationships. They have, different mental issues, mental health problems. And we always try to put it all together. And I don't think I agree with you. I don't think work-life balance is that. And I think it's more sustainability. Right.
I agree.
So
and doesn't have to be happy. Like no. I think most days I'm happy, but pursuit of happiness is kind of fun too. And recognizing that one bad day isn't a bad career choice. Recognizing that one bad day with my kids I shouldn't have had kids. Like that doesn't even make sense, right? So not desiring happiness every day, just desiring some fulfillment. I like sustainability. That's a great word. Am I fulfilled? Am I, if I had not changed my mind and I had gone to school to be an obstetrician, I'd have been a great obstetrician. I would have been happy as an obstetrician. I would have chosen to be happy. I mean, how can you not be delivering babies every day? I saw 1,000 babies born at labor and delivery.
But would you be able to afford the malpractice insurance for an obstetrician?
Well, no, because you got to pay it for 18 years after you deliver your last baby. That was one of the reasons I jumped out, honestly.
Wow.
That was on my con list. Yeah. So I just feel like also we have so much flexibility in vet med that if you're really unhappy on a regular basis, do something else. This degree is limitless as to what you can do. And all of us know vets that have changed what they do using their degree so many times or several times and do something totally different now. Just do something different if you don't like it. But every day is not happy. But I think we can find a lot of happiness in every day. And I'm one of those people that loves telling strangers what I do. I'm so proud of this profession. And I know people are like, I never want them to know. But if I'm on a plane and you say, oh, I'm a veterinarian, what do they do? Oh my gosh, that's so great. I wish I kind of wanted to be a vet. Yeah. Like nobody says that to an accountant, or I wanted to be a funeral director. No, they do it to vets because it's such a cool profession. So we have to recognize this is a cool profession. If outsiders are seeing that, how are we missing that being on the inside? It just hurts my heart to forget that.
Because we have a hard time in the profession going to the outside trying to look in. We believe that because we got the degree, anybody can get the degree. And then that's not true. If becoming a veterinarian was so easy, everyone would be a veterinarian. There's only a limited few of us, and it's very important that we hold on to all that we can. And what excites you most about, if you look into the future, what excites you the most about the profession?
I think bucking the system. I think really right now, COVID, the shutdowns taught us something that a lot of us forgot, which is we can do anything. We pivoted overnight. We went to a whole different business model literally overnight. Every practice in the country did this. Like, how did we know how? We didn't know how. There was no article about it. Somebody said curbside care, so most of us use that term, but nobody told us how to do it. There was no checklist on, oh, you need to order a bunch of cell phones. Oh, you need it. Like, we just did it. And the fact that we changed our entire business model overnight is so empowering. What else can we do? What else should we do? And I think this new generation of practice owners is doing it. Look at the transparency. They're like, Veg was the first one out there that said parents can stay with their pet parents can stay with their pet. No, they're not the first. Every large animal vet has done that forever. Everything I see has not only the pet parent, but half the barn watching me do it. And I love it. It's fantastic. It's never been a problem. So now we're bringing that into small animal, and the back is going away in some practices. I think that's the cool stuff that people are saying, I want to do that. Call centers. We have a call center. Our phones aren't answered up front. Our phones are answered in the back of our clinic, and a lot of places outsource that or do it from home. You have a concierge up front. They're taking care of people. These are just different ways. What I like is that we're all going to be different. We're going to offer different things, and clients are going to be able to go to places. I like this. I like this. I like this. I can find a place that has all that and meets all my needs. I mean, cat-only practices, things that the clients want, we can just do if we want to do. Those aren't new, obviously.
Right. I'm looking forward to, obviously, with our VetMed HQ platform that we're putting together, I'm looking to disrupt or buck the system a little bit as well. I really want to get rid of the fragmentation that exists in veterinary medicine. I really want practices to really just start talking to each other, finding out where they need help. I mean, because I believe that all these vet practices, besides yours, have some of the same issues, which is lack of staff, lack of doctors, lack of time, and we're all competing for the same clients. And, just have a few of those practices start working together, then maybe we can create some better sustainability and some happier staff and happier profession, and build a stronger culture. I mean, that's what I'm really looking forward to do, at least in the second half of my career. A lot of people say I'm already in the fourth quarter, but I'm not. My brain says I'm still 19, so I'm still good to go. My body doesn't say that, my brain does. But
yeah, absolutely. And in large animal here, we're doing that. So 2 weeks ago, 19 horse vets, which is what we have here in Southern Arizona, we all spoke at a conference for horse owners. 250 horse owners showed up, and we all gave lectures all day and demonstrations. And the thing is, we are not competing for those dollars with the practice down the street.
Right.
Less than 50%, I think it's less than 30% of all pet dollars go to vets. We're competing against Halloween costumes for your pet. We're competing against training for your animal, daycare, toys. That's where pet dollars are going, and that's okay. But there's dollars out there being spent on pets. And if we can group together and educate like we did at this event, and dog groups can do that, we're not pulling from each other. We can pull from the pool of pet money and bring a little more into vet med, where we can make really substantial differences in these animals' lives.
Well, Dr. Staten, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. From anyone who listened can understand where she's coming from. I want to say thank you for, talking about the business side, the myths, the realities. If listeners have questions, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Well, my website, veterinary-mba.com, has contact information on it. If you're on Instagram, I'm on Instagram, and I check my DMs. I check all my emails myself. So I love to chat with people about the business side of vet med anytime. It fuels me.
It's your adrenaline.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And to all the listeners, I want to thank you again for listening in on another episode of Irreplaceable Truths. We'll catch you next time. We'll see you later.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.